what is the different style of David Stern running the NBA versus an Adam Silver?
I felt like David Stern era, he ran the game. I think Adam Silver's era, he's more or less allowing the players to.
All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Hope you all are having a good day so far. I've got something pretty special here, at least for me. I've been waiting for something like this for a very long time. This is a video called Couldn't Win Without Me. Scottie Pippen breaks silence on Jordan, NBA legacy, and Bulls dynasty. This is a 2-hour and 5-minute long podcast with Scottie Pippen. It's on a channel called PBD Podcast. I'm going to link the original video down below in the description, as I always do with my videos. So if you guys want to skip ahead and check out this entire podcast right now, go for it. The link is there for you. I'm going to approach this in pieces. I have not watched this. I saved it for this. I just skipped past the intro here. But it's 2 hours long, and I'm not going to get that done in one sitting because I want to like really digest this all appropriately. So probably 3 or 4 videos worth on this. But I did want to go through the whole thing and not skip through like I usually do to try and find the interesting bits. I want to watch this whole thing. I'm very curious because it's been a long time since we heard what Scottie has to say. And the last we were hearing from Scottie, he was saying some really, really wild things. I'm not going to get into it too much, but you know, calling Phil a racist and calling Jordan a terrible player before he showed up and all kinds of stuff, calling himself the greatest of all time. Like, I've been waiting for a redemption arc for Scottie Pippen, and I'm hoping this is it. We'll find out as we go along, but I hope him coming out again for the first time and talking about this stuff, I hope he's gonna set some things straight and maybe correct some bad moves that he's made over the previous 5 years. Anyways, without further ado, you guys know the link is down below for the original video. Please leave this video a like. It helps out a ton. And without further ado, let's get into this.
Scottie, I think we're finally doing this.
Yes, we are.
This is actually happening.
Yes.
And for the viewers that are watching this, they have no idea that I told you. And by the way, we started off with a heated debate. You missed it. The debate was over who's got the best voice in the NBA. You speak effortless, but you have these, I don't know if you've been told this, you got the best voice in the NBA. You said somebody else got the best voice.
Yes.
You gave credit to somebody else.
Well, you gave me the credit of
Right.
having the best voice in association, so I said, yeah, I may have to give it to Dr. J.
Yeah, you said Dr. J.
Yeah,
And
yeah, they
listen,
both do.
we can say a lot of things to give credit to him. I played his voice. He doesn't have a Scottie Pippen voice. But it's great to have you here. I know we've spoken the last few years about having you on and, you know, book coming out, a bunch of different conversations we had. And, you know, the audience, there's certain people that don't need an introduction. 6 championships, dream. I think you got 2 gold medals, if I'm not mistaken, 7-time All-Star. Your career average was a 2 steals per game. I think you're 7th all-time, if I'm not mistaken, in that category. That's not an easy stat as a catalog of your career to maintain a 2.0.
Agreed.
2 steals a game. There's a lot of things to be talked about you with the things that you've done, but we got a lot to talk about today, man, so I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, I'll always give Scottie being one of the greatest defenders of all time. 2 things to note. One, he's strategically promoting his crypto program right here, or his crypto thing right here, the ball. 2, he's looking good. Scottie's looking good. Maybe he's sober. Maybe he's cleaned up. He's looking really good.
Pleasure.
I want to start off with a very, we start off soft and we get tougher as the podcast gets ahead. So let's start off with something very soft. So when I look at the NBA, myself, as a guy that consumed the game 24/7, I never missed a game from the day I came to the States, 1990, till 98. I watched everything. I was a Lakers guy. So I'm talking Nick Van Exel, Sedale Treat, if you know
Nice.
these names,
Yeah,
Eldon
yeah.
Campbell. You know, I can give you some lineup of guys we watched that Eddie Jones, Trevor Ariza came a little later, but I
Much
go all the way
later.
back. when you watch the viewership of NBA Finals, you guys, what you did, what Michael did, Chicago Bulls, I don't know what the number is, Rob. If you type in NBA Finals viewership, 38 million, 36 million, 32 million, and then you see the stats today, and the stats come out saying the NBA viewership is down 48% the last 12 years.
What I can tell you real quick is that 98 finals, the final Bulls finals, that was the highest viewed NBA finals of all time still to this day.
I no longer watch the NBA, okay? To me, they've lost me as a fan.
Yeah.
You, as somebody who was face known worldwide, what happened to the NBA the last 10, 20 years?
Good way to start.
Well, I feel like that the game changed. It became more of a perimeter shooter game, if I could say that. And I think and I remember right when I was leaving the game, early 2000, that the league promoted more scoring. They wanted to get more points up on the board. They felt like that would get the fans more engaged.
Tail end of your career.
Yes.
Okay, I got it.
So
Which I think was about 2003 or 2004. I believe Scottie retired.
At that point, to me, it started looking more like a game built for offensive players, guys that did play defense and, took pride in playing defense, were to some degree punished, I felt like, because everything was working in favor of the offensive player.
Yeah, for sure.
And then they put the circle in there where a guy is not allowed to take a charge at certain points in the lane, at a certain position in the lane. So I think with a lot of things changing within the game, and a lot of it was for the good, looking at, the physicality of the game as to where it was in the 90s. But I think a lot of that got wiped away, and I think that's where a lot of the fans lost interest in the game.
So you're saying, because LeBron said the 3-point game, right? A lot of people said the 3-point game. You're saying the defense. Rob, I just pulled this up, which is a very interesting stat, by the way, based on what you're saying.
I mean, it's both. So it's both, and then there's more to it.
I pulled up what year the NBA averaged the least amount of points, okay?
Nice.
Per game over the history of it. Rob, just pull up the link and put it up. Very, very interesting. The last year you guys won the championship together, was it 97-98 or 98-99?
It was 97-98.
97-98. So this is interesting. Zoom in a little bit, Rob. So if you look at the league right there and go on to the category of points. Points is, keep going to the right, keep going to the right, keep going right there. There's points right there, right there. Okay. So watch that. In 2024, 2025, right now the NBA averages 113 points a game. Last year was 114, 115, 110. So since 2018, it's been averaging 111 points a game. Then if you go back to 2012, it was 98, 96, 99, okay? If you go a little bit lower, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Look at the 97, 98.
Yeah.
Now you see 92 points a game. That's 98, 99.
Okay, I just wanted to look at this because so Scottie said by the time he was leaving, the scoring was going up. And yeah, so that's okay. So I'm sorry, that's not it. That is where no, crap. That's where it was when the Bulls dynasty pretty much ended. Was right here. So between 95 and 92, essentially, because really this was the final year. And then by 2003. I mean, I would kind of disagree with Scottie on that, but no, he's right. By the year he was retiring, it had started to go up. So yeah, there were some shifts. Oops. And then after that, every single year it did go up. Yeah, at least about a point a year. Okay, I see exactly what he's talking about. And the years prior to that, the early 90s were actually higher scoring, though. So yeah, this is where we entered that phase of the lowest scoring era.
95.6, 96.9, right? With the points per game. What else do you think it is that turned fans away from the game? Because to me, how much of it do you think, and I'll ask these questions, and you're probably going to be more diplomatic than me because you're in the game. How much of it do you think David Stern, what is the different style of David Stern running the NBA versus an Adam Silver?
Good question.
I felt like David Stern era, he ran the game. I think Adam Silver's era, he's more or less allowing the players to have some input in terms of how the rules of the game are changing.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, it looks like it's pretty bad right now.
Oh, interesting.
But I think
All right, get him, Scotty.
from a standpoint of players being healthy, those are some precautionary measures that they've taken in the game where players don't like to play back to back. So I think it's a lot of things. You know, I definitely feel like the 3-point shot has turned fans away from the game because it's just no teamwork in shooting a 3-point shot. There's no teamwork in coming down and taking a shot from behind the 3-point line.
Yeah,
But
especially on a fast
there's
break.
teamwork in coming down and executing a play. Everybody touches the ball, and you get a bucket out of it, whether it's a 2 or a 3. But it's something that drew people to love the game, to love certain teams that played a certain way. And I don't think you see that in today's game. I feel like the last team that played with that kind of chemistry was the Golden State Warriors. They had sort of a team chemistry where they moved the ball, but it was about a lot of jump shooting, a lot of 3-point shooters, but they had the greatest shooters in the history of the game.
Yep.
And they had the greatest shooters in the game at that time. So it was a great sight to really see a great team executing, playing together, and shooting the 3-point shot. Well, in today's game, as we watch it, we don't see that great team chemistry of a team that has been doing this and have longevity of success. So it makes it hard for you to lock in and like what you're seeing.
Yeah, it's funny.
I agree real quick. Before the Golden State Warriors, to me, it was the San Antonio Spurs, where year after year we see that this team with this identity is always going to be there in the playoffs. You can count on it. You can take it to the bank. Then we had the Golden State Warriors, and a lot of people blame the Warriors and they blame Steph for how the game is now. But if you actually watch them, you never saw anybody play like that. Closest thing was probably the 05 Suns, but that was not even the same type of game. But yeah, ball movement was prominent, and they had the two best shooters in the league on the same team, like Scottie said, at that time. So of course they built their offense around having the two best shooters in the world. Yeah, we're going to shoot a lot of threes. I get it. It made sense. What sucks is that everyone else, they emulated that. They ripped off, it's a copycat league. So they took what the Golden State Warriors did and they implemented that into their team. And by doing that, all these individual teams lost their identity. They just became a copycat Golden State Warriors team without those shooters. So it didn't make any sense.
Years ago, the NBA All-Star, probably 5-6 years ago, I don't know if you remember, Giannis had the team, LeBron had the team. In the fourth quarter, they were playing up to 157. Whoever hit 157 would win. I saw defense I hadn't seen since your era. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Even Kobe would play the defense in in All-Star games. So you would see that element. Himself, McGrady, some of these guys would play. But in that moment, I'm sitting there thinking to myself as a fan, I'm like, why am I liking this? This is freaking amazing. So defense was very attractive to me because it's a fight, right? It's a fight that the other side is putting up. I want to ask you a question.
That's a good point. If there's no resistance, then the offense that we're watching is not impressive. You need resistance. Same with football. Imagine if defense was completely gone, American football. It doesn't matter. Scoring doesn't mean anything anymore because there was zero resistance to stop that score from happening.
When you were playing and you guys had fans in Chicago, you guys were Can we say that the 10-year run you had, you were like the Beatles? You were like Elvis Presley. You were like, is it fair to say, no matter where you guys went, everybody wanted to see you guys? The show in town, no matter where you guys went.
I would definitely say that's fair, but I would give a lot of the credit to Michael Jordan because of the fact that he had created something with the Chicago Bulls, and that myself and other guys that came along, we built up on that. And it became, in the late 90s, when we got Dennis Rodman on the team, that we were, or people looked at us as a rock band. And when we came to different cities, we had that kind of feeling that, we had to put on a show. We had to perform. And that's why when you look at those teams, and especially my Bull teams back there were no days off, Guys came to play whether they were injured,
Yes,
sick,
sir.
no matter what, because we felt like that we had to perform and that there were people coming out to watch us perform.
Yeah, and when
Right there, I would like every young NBA player right now to just hear what he said there, because it's crucial. He felt an obligation to perform because people were coming out to watch them perform. It's so simple.
And I watch it that way, and I see the numbers. We're going to get into the debates of Michael, LeBron, Kobe, all this stuff. We'll get into that here in a minute. But the question I wanted to ask you is, when you guys played for the Bulls and politicians showed up, okay, say Republicans showed up, Democrats showed up, and they'd come and speak to you. And Michael made that one comment that we read about. I don't know if he said that or not. You know what I'm talking about, where
Yes.
it's like, listen, Republicans also buy shoes too,
Yeah.
right? And Obama in The Last Stand said, I was kind of disappointed that he didn't come and support that one candidate. And even Michael's mother wasn't happy. You know the story. I'm telling you stuff that you lived it. So I'm
That's
more
funny, because I'm actually proud that MJ didn't get involved politically. He kept it to basketball where it belonged. He's a basketball player. He's not a politician.
the guy watching it from the outside. As a comparison of face of the league to face of the league, not talent. We're not talking like who's the better team player, who's the better scorer, who's more dominant, who's a bigger winner, Michael to LeBron. How much of it you think also the face of the league, MJ was the face of the league, then maybe you put Kobe, Shaq the next era, then you put LeBron, Curry the next era. As the face of the league, how much did Michael's approach to the fans cause people to come that could care less about politics, left, right, and center, fall in love with it, versus now the face of the league with social media? Some fans are like, if you don't like me, I don't even want to come contribute to watch a game anymore.
For sure.
Because you kind of speaking to me in a way that you want to see me come watch and play. That specific debate, what did you notice between those two of gaining different fans?
Real quick, a little bit of input. So we're talking about the viewership being down about 40-something% since 2012, I think it was. Anyways, let's just call it like close to 50. Like we've cut it in half, right? Yeah, the league getting more political. Doesn't that make sense? Because we just split the audience now. So we're getting half of the audience watching, and the other half has checked out because, yeah, the star of the league is LeBron James, and he is very political on social media. So a lot of people don't feel welcome anymore, and that's why I'm glad Michael Jordan didn't do it. He didn't make this about politics. He didn't divide his audience. He made everyone feel welcome to enjoy the game of basketball.
Well, I can say in today's era, especially with social media, players allow the public to know their personal things, whether it's political, financial, family, whatever. Mm-hmm. They allow the public to get involved in it. So when you ask me to make that comparison with Michael or LeBron, well, Michael never put himself in that position. I mean, his words speak for itself. I mean, he's never going to put himself in a position where you know his political thinking, his political mindset. He stays away from that. He's a basketball player. He's not a politician. He's not one that's going to get involved in any kind of debate. He's going to focus more on playing basketball and what it takes to win championships. And that's all he's going to speak around.
Was he like that behind closed doors and on camera when he's being interviewed?
Yeah, that was just his whole mindset because, as we look at it today, he had a big engine, a big brand behind him that he's always had to protect.
But as a young guy, you're coming up when he would give you advice, like different things that you guys spoke about. I know the one thing you talked about with when you went to the Rockets, he said you should have never. We'll talk. Which one I'm talking about when he's like, you could have gone a different place.
Because Charles Barkley.
But did he give that feedback to guys coming up? Hey guys, we don't talk politics here. Hey guys, don't bring that kind of attention here. Because the head coach Phil Jackson, when you study about him, and back in the days when he played for the Knicks, he played with a couple guys that all they talked about in the locker room was politics. So you get a Phil who's very political, but he keeps it to himself. He's philosophical. You get a Michael. Was it one of those things that it's a code? We as a unit almost ran like a mob. We don't touch politics. We don't talk about it. Did he run it that way?
Good question.
I don't think he really ran it. I think he's just led by example. If you don't speak it, then that that's not an area, that's a gray area that he doesn't want to talk about.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Obviously, if any politician or anyone wants him to, donate or do anything publicly, then he's never going to get involved with that.
What a move to make.
It is.
For him.
I mean, the thing is back then, I correct me if you guys have a different perspective, but I was born in 82. I was raised that politics is something that you define for yourself. You get to vote. But we vote in private in a booth for a reason. And that means that this isn't supposed to be something that we're going to be arguing about with our friends or our family, debating our neighbors about. And now with social media, debating everybody in the world about the way we do now. I was not raised that way. For me, just like everybody else, I have my views, but I keep them to myself because I'm not a politician. If I was a politician, then I would make it voiced on a regular basis. Just like here, I'm talking about basketball on a basketball YouTube channel. I focus on basketball because that's, But if I'm going to the supermarket or something, checking out, buying some groceries, I'm not talking basketball with that person, There's a platform for these things, and there's a reason for them. But yeah, politics, all it does is just divide people. The way I see when we openly discuss it and debate it with our fellow man, all it does is serve to divide us. And it's not that to mean that politics are bad. Politics are not bad. We need politics, but do we all need to pretend like we're politicians? I don't think so.
Can move like that.
Yeah,
do you think that indirectly, that position helped the NBA grow its viewership because it attracted all types of people?
Yes, it did because, like I said, in the 90s, we didn't have social media. So we didn't have a way to turn fans off, especially from a political standpoint.
Yeah,
that's a good way to put it.
We didn't have a way to encourage them from a political standpoint. So we just had basketball, and it was a lot easier to focus on our craft and our job and grow from that. We didn't have a lot of the distractions that, players have now with social media. We had a lot of newspapers. There were more magazines and things printing stories. But, it takes weeks, days, months for those kind of stories to get out. Whereas social media, it's every day. It's 24/7. It's every 30 minutes, every minute, something's jumping off.
Do you think if social media was there back then, Ronaldo right now is the most followed guy. I don't know what he's got, 600 million followers, something like that on Instagram.
Jeez.
If social media was on when you guys were playing, how big would you guys and would Michael have been? Wow. I mean, Ronaldo's got 647 million followers right now on Instagram.
Good Lord.
How big would it have been if social media was around when you guys were playing? Maybe
million?
Dennis Rodman would have had the most following. Who knows?
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it would have been different.
Oh my God. Could you guys imagine Bulls, Dennis Rodman? with social media back then. He was already paparazzi followed him everywhere. Could you imagine him actually getting to post crap on social media? Those Vegas trips would be so well documented.
Definitely, with looking at these numbers, you don't know how, being a player that played in the 90s, how these numbers come about and, what they really mean, because we didn't grow up in this social media era, but definitely you know who you're talking about. you know that, he's one of the greatest players, greatest athletes in the world, and 647 million speaks for itself.
So you think
Insane.
Michael would have been there if social media was around at that time? 'Cause Michael kind of took the NBA to...
I think he would have probably doubled that, I'm going to be honest.
Seriously.
Yeah, I would say, because
I mean, it's probably not wrong.
basketball in the 90s, when it first jumped off, and, just having social media back then would have just been amazing. I remember in 1987 when I was drafted, that's when the NBA signed a international deal with China, where
87?
games were now being shown all over, the world, pretty much, definitely all over China. So the game was growing then, and at that point, I mean, Michael was 4 or 5 years already into the game. So I'm just speaking when I started in the league, that the growth of what I've seen in basketball. I've traveled all over the world, from Italy, Germany, early 90s, late 80s, really talking about basketball, growing basketball, talking about the Olympics. And lo and behold, 1992, we're playing in the Olympics. And now, 30 years later, there's nothing but NBA players playing in the Olympics now. So things have changed, and, players all around the world has definitely gained more confidence, more interest in playing in the NBA.
Scottie's got a good point. After 1992, what happened in Barcelona in the Olympics, if Jordan had a social media account, I'm pretty sure everybody, not everybody, but like 80% of the population of the world that has the ability to have social media, they'd be following MJ for sure. We all know we would as kids.
Scottie, who were some people you saw? Because your last year was it 03, 04? If I'm looking at this, 03, 04. So 04 is when Barack gave the speech at the DNC when he blew up. That's when he came out and he gave one of the greatest speeches of all time. Did Barack ever come watch you play, or did Trump ever come watch you play? Did you ever see either one of them at the games?
No, I never seen neither
Really?
one of them at the game.
Neither one of
Definitely
them?
not. No.
Oh, interesting.
Being Barack was a Chicago guy, he probably watched from a suite or something from that standpoint if he came to the game, but I've never had met him at a game.
Neither him nor Trump.
No.
So Trump never watched the Bulls? He had to have gone to a Bulls game.
I doubt it.
Really?
He's a New York guy.
That makes
What if you
sense.
go to the Knicks? I mean, that era of you guys going to the Knicks, it would have been something to want to watch when you guys were on the road.
I stayed at a lot of Trump hotels back in my playing days.
You stayed out of Trump Hotel?
No, we stayed at.
Oh, you stayed at Trump hotels. Got it. Look, what is that?
I've never
Rob?
done it
So he's
myself.
out there, Knicks against Bucks. Can you see if there's a Trump with Chicago Bulls? Trump watching Chicago Bulls? Just curious if. Well, that's Trump in a Chicago Bulls jersey. That's funny. People.
Oh, what was what was this? Hold on. Oh, come on, dude. That's got to be AI. That's bad AI too.
Okay, these
AI.
are all AI driven things that you've shown.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to find something real.
who
Hey
was the
guys,
guy-
remember when Photoshop was a problem? Because it was like we're not going to be able to tell what's real and what's not. Now we got AI too. Shoot.
First time you're playing, you're in there 87. I remember your rookie card, by the way, the rookie Fleer card, right? I remember what that looked like.
I would like
So
that card.
when you came in, who was the first guy to game where you're like, oh shit, look who's here today? Was this somebody you saw on the sidelines where you were a little bit shocked, or not really? You were so focused on the game.
I was more or less focused on the game, but there were times when, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I'd never met, playing in Chicago, would show up and be courtside. Oprah Winfrey.
That's right, Chicago.
Yeah, so back in the day,
Oprah was a
Gene
huge
Sisco,
fan.
who was a very close friend of mine, some movie critic. he passed away. God rest his soul. But I was never a guy that really focused on who was watching me play. I didn't care who was in the stands. I've always been a player that focused on the game, my team, the success, and how do we win. That's it. I don't care who's coming to watch.
Let me ask you two of them. And see if did you ever have Michael Jackson come watch the game or Prince? Either one of those
wow.
two.
I think I had Prince. Well, I can't say. I think Prince came to a game down in Minnesota when
Prince did.
Yeah, when we played the Timberwolves.
In Minnesota.
I've never seen Michael at a game.
You ever want to watch him perform? Did you ever go to one of his concerts?
No.
No. Okay, so for me, I know two regrets. I never got a chance to see Michael Jackson perform, and I never got a chance to watch you guys play.
Wow.
Ever.
Oh, damn.
Wow.
Ever. I never got a chance to watch you guys play.
Shout out down below. Who's seen this Bulls play live? I'm thankful I did.
Yeah, that was 2000s. Wow, it's been 8 years already. That is absolutely wild. That it's been 8 years already. With interesting how fast time flies by.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
You mentioned Dream Team earlier, Kai. With the Dream Team taking place, obviously we can go back to one of the topics that we followed very closely. That lineup right there. Who's on the team, by the way? So you got yourself, Stockton, Bird, Michael, Clyde Drexler, Mullen, Barkley, Malone. I think that's David Robinson, Magic, Ewing, and Leitner.
Love this team.
Yeah.
And you got Chuck Daly as a coach. And when you go back, and the main story that we hear about, there's two stories that we hear about. One story is the greatest game ever played that nobody ever saw.
The practice.
Right? That story with where Magic is talking smack to Michael.
Right.
What is your point of view of that of that game? Do you remember it?
Well, if you look at that, I was one of the youngest guys on that team beyond Leitner. But,
David
it was
Robinson.
just one of those practices where, guys just talking trash. Guys were excited to, be in the gym for one and practicing. And, Magic was one of those guys that, he wanted to rah-rah and get everybody together, but also, hey, we're here to work. And so Magic made it a little more competitive and started kind of
Poking
a little bit at Michael, letting him know, I've been away and you got a championship, but hey, I'm still Magic and da-da-da. And so
That does sound like Magic, too.
Kind of got a little bit heated. Nothing in a bad way, just one of those days where, Michael put more energy on the basketball court than he did on the golf course. But, he came out and, was talking trash. And every day after practice, we would go back to the rooms and play cards and just kind of sit around and talk and smoke cigars and things. But
what was your favorite memory of the Dream Team, 92?
It's just not one thing. Just being around guys who you looked at, who you idolized, and always wondered, what make them tick, what make them go, what pushes them, what their daily workout is like, what do they do every day. And just kind of being in their surroundings. And I'm talking to everybody from Larry Bird, who was at the end of his career, as well as Magic.
Yeah.
In
fact, Bird didn't even want to play, but Magic convinced him to, because he was like, "This is the only chance we're going to get to be on the same team, and what better stage to do it." So Bird didn't play much because his back was so busted up, but it was a big deal he was there. I'm really glad he did it.
Just kind of being around those guys and finally getting to know them, not having to feel like it's a day where I got to guard Larry Bird. It's a competitive moment, but having the opportunity to bond with them, to have breakfast with them, to meet their families, just to see what their lives are like away from the game. Just having the opportunity to say, I'm a friend of Larry Bird. That's better than me going through my whole career and saying, hey, I played against Bird 5 times, and yeah, he was tough. But that opportunity to kind of break bread, to bond, it kind of opened up a different door for us, I guess, in the NBA world because we've never had that opportunity to really come together. It was always about competing. You know, you look at the Bulls and the Pistons, and there was never a opportunity for us to ever just come together and break bread and say, hey, we had some great competitive years, man, and this and that, just to talk basketball. But that moment to get all those players together, and you build more respect for people too, you know, just after that. I mean, I had opportunity. We played against Karl Malone and John Stockton twice after that.
Yeah, in the finals.
You know? So not only am I competing with them, you know, for a NBA championship, but I just won 2 gold medals with these 2 dudes, you know? So
yeah.
This is competitive, but it means something to both of us.
That's true.
You know?
It's competition, but not hate.
That, you know, we've gotten back to the finals, you know?
Who did you learn a lot from? Who were you like? You know, you hear the documentary about when Dwayne Wade and LeBron, they said LeBron learned about work ethic of Kobe after going to the Olympics with him. He's like, I had no idea this guy worked. I thought I was a hard worker, but then it's like, holy shit. Yeah. This is how the guy trains. This is how he works. And you heard the stories from Carmelo, and you heard the story from, was it Bosch? I think Bosch is the one that told one of the stories, right?
Yeah.
When you went there, was it because I would assume on Michael's mindset of going there was to make sure he sets the record straight. It's my NBA. I'm here to set the tone, right? Because you guys had just won one, if I'm not mistaken. But when you're going there and you're trying to size some of these guys up as well, who did you learn a lot from where you're like, I had no idea that guy had that kind of work ethic. That guy was very disciplined. That guy doesn't drink. He never partied. He didn't come and do this. He had to get his sleep. This guy had to do this. What patterns did you learn about some of your peers and competitors?
Another cool question.
Well, you definitely get a chance to see their work ethics away from the game because we definitely spent time, you know, together. But it gave me a chance to really bond with some guys that I probably thought I never would. I bonded with Karl Malone. I bonded with Patrick Ewing. We would work out together, so I got a chance to see what it's like working with these guys, not just on the court, but off the court, but having the opportunity to go do extra stuff on the basketball court to learn kind of what their extra work includes. What do they work on?
Who were you
what
impressed
are
by?
their weaknesses?
Who were you impressed by?
Well, I was very impressed with Karl Malone in the weight room.
I bet.
He is a beast.
Because of how much he pushed?
Yeah. I mean, he is just a beast. I mean, he stays in the gym 4 hours and just works until you can't pick up a cup of coffee.
So that was him. Wow.
Yeah, his arms always shocked me. They were massive freaking arms. His elbow is the size of most people's biceps.
He's very disciplined with sleep and diet.
Oh.
I'm assuming.
Who's very disciplined with sleep and diet? I got to make a prediction. I'm guessing John Stockton. Yes, I'm guessing John Stockton. He's such a straight shooter. I can't imagine him partying.
Charles Barkley was very disciplined with
eating and
diet
and hanging out.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I just read about it.
I would say someone who really focused on their diet probably was more like someone like Chris Mullin.
Oh,
Chris Mullin.
okay, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he was. And I'm just talking about conditioning. Like this guy, him and Patrick, they were just so focused on their conditioning every day. But
who talked the most shit? Who was like poking nonstop, like outside of Michael?
Hey, by the way, that's not right. Don't show. Why are you showing 2001? That's not Chris Mullin. Come on, that's not the Chris Mullin we know and love. He was a monster.
Who talked the most shit? Who was like poking nonstop, like outside of Michael? I'm assuming Michael was nonstop, but who else was like out of control talking smack?
I want to make another prediction. MJ, Bird, Magic, and Chuck. Those got to be the biggest trash talkers.
I mean, you got Charles Barkley who's doing that all the time, and then everyone gonna always throw up on him. Well, you don't have a championship, and then that's what you have to like tuck his tail between his butt and walk away.
Still doing it.
at that time, we still had a lot of basketball left in our careers. So Charles always had the comeback line that I'm going to get mine. So
he was at
never
this. You know what I like about Charles is, when he, Shaq, and Kenny go at it and they do their debate, right? And he says what he says. He never takes it away from himself that he never won, meaning he doesn't give himself an out.
No.
He always calls himself out for not having won one.
Yes.
And you got to respect that because, sometimes guys, they're asked questions. Hey, do you think if your legacy ends and you don't win a championship, you think it's impacted by it? Barkley will say yes. And some guys will say, no, I'm still a great basketball player and all this other stuff. Do you think somebody, you seem like a nicer guy. You don't seem like a guy that wants to ruffle feathers. But do you think your career is tainted if at the end of your career you have that disclaimer that you never won a championship?
I would say in certain situations, but in Charles Barkley's situation, I would say no. I would say no because he won 2 gold medals. He helped globalize basketball all over the world. He didn't have to play in but one NBA Finals, and he didn't win, but everybody knows Charles Barkley because of his personality, because of him working on TNT, but really because he was a heck of a basketball player. He was a great player, and he probably deserved to win a title. Ran into Michael and the Bulls. Yep. But Charles was a heck of a player, and he's had a great career as an analyst as well.
Oh, I never hold it against guys like Charles, Karl Malone, John Stockton, because they should have had championships, but they ran into MJ, Phil, Scottie, and the Bulls. It's not their fault. In my mind, they're champions. They're straight up champions. There's nothing that we can take away from it. Guys, we're already 33 minutes into this. I don't want these to run too long, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off here, and I'm gonna be back tomorrow with a part 2 of this. But yeah, I don't want these to run too long. I notice my super long videos, not a lot of people are interested in watching them. So I'm gonna shut it down for here. We got a couple of cool topics, and like the host said, he's gonna start it out with the easy questions and slowly get into the harder questions. So I'm looking forward to this. It's not that I want to stop it here, you guys, because trust me, I want to watch this whole thing right now. But I'm gonna wait. So I'm gonna do a part 2 tomorrow, and I just gotta walk away from it. What are my thoughts so far? First, the most importantly, is Scottie's looking pretty good. Scottie's looking healthy. He's looking mentally healthy, and I notice he's resisting talking trash about people. I think I might be liking the headspace. Hopefully he's cleaned up. I don't detect any drugs in Scottie Pippen right now, and that's a big deal because I was afraid we lost him to the abyss that we all know happens with drug abuse that follows life crises, and we know that he's had plenty. So that's first and foremost, because I've been following Scottie Pippen since I was a child, and to me it's a big deal if he's doing better, because when he was doing really bad and he was blowing up relationships left and right, it was hard to watch. But anyways, you guys, thank you for watching part 1. Let me know what you guys think so far. And like I said, if you guys want to watch ahead, go for it. I'm going to come back tomorrow with some more of this, and we'll keep going until we finish. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. Hit the bell if you want to get notified for tomorrow when the next one drops. And peace out, everybody.